But New Japan is made a big announcement today that they are continuing this expansion. And it's an interesting concept, isn't it? Just as NXT is rejiggering itself there and taking down NXT UK and perhaps doing NXT Europe later on, expanding the brand, there's brand expansion in New Japan. So they have a dojo in Tokyo, of course, where the young lions that we see, like Fujita, Nakashima, and Oiwa, for instance, are all in that gym. There are others there too, of course. And then they have a gym in Los Angeles, and that's the LA Dojo, run by Katsuyori Shibata. And they have a show, New Japan Strong. And in the coming years, they will be running more shows here in the United States. We've talked about that. And a lot of the wrestlers from that are going to come from that dojo, be part of that dojo, also with the main New Japan roster. Well, they are continuing that concept in Oceania. And what we're going to see is something called NJPW. I want to make sure I get this right. TAMASHII. NJPW TAMASHII. And this is a branch of New Japan that's going to be running shows in New Zealand, Australia, and elsewhere in the Pacific. And what they talked about was using Bad Luck Fale's dojo in Auckland as the base for that. So similar to Shibata in LA and New Japan Strong, this New Japan Tamashii will be affiliated with Tox Fale's Auckland dojo. And after watching Lion's Pride, which is a wonderful series, a documentary series on New Japan World about that dojo, about Fale, about his students, I'm very interested to see how this turns out. Jeremy, what do you think of this concept of putting dojos around the globe and expanding the New Japan brand?
As long as it's not too big, too fast, too ready to fail, I am all about expanding the New Japan brand worldwide. I really like the idea of taking this Australasia talent, as they like to call it, which is this trifecta of areas that are able to just bring world-class caliber wrestling. Having guys like Kenta there, the Australian talent, TMDK, all those guys. There's a lot of home-based talent that's based out of there. Jay White, the first time he wrestles there under a New Japan brand, is going to be a massively big event. It's comparable to Will Ospreay being in the UK. Yeah, Robbie Eagles. You know, he is going to thrive in this kind of thing. With the pandemic turning into the endemic and having an opportunity for cheering and all these things, this seems like the right time to strike and create a foothold in a region that other territories haven't really done. So I think this is a canny move. I think that if they plan it right and have the infrastructure that seems that they already have, that this could be a very popular and worthwhile move for the company in the future.
I think they've been smart in LA with the New Japan dojo there as far as not overextending that brand. I think they run appropriate size buildings so far. I think they have run the appropriate number of shows. They're going to bring that up a little bit, and they're going to be bringing in Stardom talent to have a couple of matches on there. That'll be pretty terrific, and bring in the female element, of course. Japan wrestling system with women having their own companies is a little different than here. We'll see if the Stardom people have anything to do with the Tamashii part. That's still to be explained, but I'm curious to see if they do the same thing in Australia and New Zealand, where they don't go too crazy and they run small buildings at first and give these guys some ring time and have them work with established workers that come in as guests. I think it could definitely be a positive. If they try to push too hard, then this could end up being a big money suck, and it could end up being pulled away. But again, I think that the baby steps they've taken with Strong, doing these tapings, occasional shows once in a while outside of that system, and bringing in guys like, Hiromu Takahashi and Desperado in for a week and doing some tapings, doing some shows, and then going back. I like that cautious approach. If they do that in Australia and New Zealand, like you said, a lot of talent over there, and a lot of really good people have come from there. So this could bear a lot of fruit. And again, Fale's dojo, it's just a way to get trainees ring time that I don't think they would normally touch.
Yeah, instinctually, it seems like they'd pound the rock hard in the region and just stack the first few cards. And I think that's probably going to do well either way.
Yeah.
The important thing is that you maintain a quality of New Japan talent consistently there when you get comfortable in the region. 8th show, it's the 10th show, it's the 14th show.
Absolutely.
Are they going to have that level of caliber and interest that sustains the brand in the region? That's one of the stigmas with New Japan Strong in some ways, is that yes, it's part of the New Japan brand, but there are people that look at it as a lesser of the actual brand and not at the same level as watching a New Japan show within the New Japan brand. If you have the TAMASHII brand above the New Japan and then it presents a show, there is a concern that if you delineate them enough to make it feel like it's something different from the New Japan proper, it could run into trouble. That has happened before, and there are perceptions like that. But I also believe that the company is cognizant of this and can navigate that kind of perception as well.
That's interesting. And I don't mean to put you on the spot with this one, but are you just personally surprised that Strong is still going and in its own way thriving? I mean, they don't really have trouble drawing crowds for their tapings anyway. It does seem like there is a following to this, that people are interested in seeing the shows. And you had people like Robbie Lawler and Jonah come off of Strong. Jonah it's hard to say that he came through Strong because he had quite a career before all that, but there were people that wrestled on Strong and then have done well on the main roster of New Japan. Are you surprised that Strong has where is Strong now compared to where you thought it would be?
I think it's above where I thought it would be, but not by much. And let me give you an idea of what I kind of think here. So I think Strong is a smart program because they tape a full show and then split into 3-hour-long shows and divvy out the content that way. I think that the star power that Strong started with some Moxley a little bit, we had Jay White there. Tom Lawler wasn't really a star when he was on there, and then he elevated himself. I think there's a gap in that quality of talent right now. We're going to talk about the Strong episode recap later today that I watched, but the biggest star on the show was Eddie Kingston, and he wrestled an Impact veteran, Jake something. That's not exactly the caliber of show that I'm like going out of my way to see, but it's not bad either. It's that level of like, I have to make sure that I watch this show for this show, but would I watch it if I wasn't doing this show? The answer is yes, but it's not high on my list of priorities. And it was off my list of priorities for a while back during the pandemic, simply because of the way that life was. So I can't say that I've seen every episode of Strong, but I do watch it now. I'm locked in on it. Is it as good or as important as it once was? No. Is it as important to the company? Yes.
By the way, that name is one of my favorites in wrestling. I can just imagine someone going around there. We need a ring name for you. Oh, geez, I can't think of anything. Just say Jake something. Right. Write that down. There it is.
Nailed it.
That's the one. Crushed it. So anyway, we'll see. Oh, pardon me. We'll see what happens. They've announced a couple of dates. They're coming up in the way out in the future. Hopefully, we can see those shows on New Japan World or somewhere and check it out. So anyway, all that's to come. We don't have any real names other than Fale and his dojo. So as news comes out about
November 11th and November 13th,
so we have some time. We have some time to gear up for that.